Marjoram is an interesting herb. Again, one that was much more common even a generation or two ago. It's a delicious culinary herb, and there are many varieties of marjoram. There's a lot of confusion about marjoram too. For centuries, people differentiated between marjoram and oregano, and then people started saying that they were the same plant. I actually think of marjoram as a variety of oregano, a sweeter, more mild variety of oregano. That is what I would consider the culinary herb, the one you're going to grow in the kitchen. Now, there is also wild marjoram, which is the ancestor to this plant. It originates, somewhere in the Mediterranean region in Europe, and it was much used in herbal medicine again 2,000, 3,000 years ago. Very rarely found growing wild in America, and probably just about impossible to get seeds for. It probably does have a distinctly different flavor than oregano. I've never had the opportunity to try it. I only know garden marjoram, and that is essentially a sweeter, more mild, more aromatic, well, maybe not more aromatic, but differently aromatic version of oregano. But I am going to include these as separate entries because one, they taste different, and two, they have slightly different medicinal properties. Marjoram is both a stimulant and an antispasmodic. It's a good general tonic for the digestive and respiratory system, and it can aid in bringing on menses. Like oregano, marjoram is antiseptic. It contains these volatile oils which essentially kill germs and well, a lot of stuff, a lot of little microorganisms. Marjoram and oregano were used by our ancestors to preserve meats. They would take some herbs like oregano and marjoram and yeah, sure, basil, thyme. Thyme has is it thymol or tithymol? That's a powerful antiseptic. Mints have that same antimicrobial property, and these are in the mint family. So you're talking mint family herbs plus garlic and onions and chives and all that. Salt and pepper, black pepper if they could get it, and they would rub that on meat and they'd hang it up to dry and essentially make something between a ham and a beef jerky. And that's how meat was preserved. And again, it's absolutely delicious. Another reason to get like an old cookbook like Apicius or look at the old ways of preserving meats. My great grandfather raised cattle and hogs and chickens and just about everything else, but he had his own smokehouse and he cured his own bacon and hams and made his own sausage. And so salt curing meat or even preserving meat under a layer of fat. My grandmother did that a lot. She would can her own country sausage. I'm sure the ball company would freak out if you even suggested this, or whatever the food police are. But she would take country sausage and get all the air out of it, put it in a jar, put it down in her water bath canner, and pour melted pork fat over it. Take it out, and that was it. And that sausage would last for years, actually. Now, any food expert today is going to say, no, you're going to cause botulism, you're going to die. Well, so I'm not giving you that advice, but I'm telling you that's how people used to do it. That's actually the whole idea behind duck confit is to take duck and slow cook it in fat and then let the fat come to the surface and harden, and then it just sits shelf stable for months. It's delicious. Well, anyway, these herbs with their antimicrobial, antiseptic, antibacterial, etc. properties help preserve meat. They save people's lives because, food poisoning used to be actually the leading cause of death, either bad food or bad water. Dysentery would set in, and that caused more deaths than anything else that our ancestors faced. It came from bad food and bad water. That's one of the main reasons our ancestors learned to use herbs. Well, as I said, this is a member of the mint family, so I'm going to recommend it not be used by pregnant women in very large amounts. A little pinch in the food is fine, but can be very dangerous in large amounts. Marjoram, as I said, is antiseptic. It's also diuretic. It can help break a fever, and it's an expectorant. It can help get the mucus out of your lungs. It's very useful for headaches and is a mild sleep aid. So a good one to grow. Marjoram is perennial, but it is a tender perennial. In most temperate climates, it will need to be potted up and brought indoors over winter. Otherwise, just grow it as an annual. Put your seeds out there after the last frost and harvest, and just know it's going to die back and you're going to have to start again, at the first frost. It grows in dense, bushy clumps. The foliage is aromatic with a nice, soft green color and texture. Purple flowers are very pretty. You could definitely plant this one ornamentally. It will grow up to 2 feet tall, and plants should be spaced about 1 to 2 feet apart. And officially, USDA hardiness zone is 5A to 10B. So upstate New York to South Texas, you're good. Easy, easy. I live in zone 5B, and I haven't had any survive the winters outside. So, but pot it up and use it as an annual, you can grow it anywhere. And it may be that there is a more cold hardy variety. I have read some indications. I've never been able to find the seeds. But the old garden books describe marjoram as a Mediterranean plant that cannot tolerate a freeze, and that has been my experience. Last one for today is Nigella. Nigella has similar qualities to the herb called black cumin. You may remember about 10 years ago, everyone was crazy about black cumin or black seed. It was like the panacea. Well, you'll be glad to know that Nigella is probably even a little more effective than black cumin and has one of the prettiest flowers you'll ever see. It's actually called Love in a Mist. If you get a seed catalog, look for the flower called Love in a Mist. It's beautiful. You could grow it anywhere. You could grow it in pots. You could grow it in your garden. I mean, it's one of those truly beautiful flowers I know of. The herb it's blue. The flowers are blue. So, any blue flower is always special because that's the most rare color in nature, in the plants. Both Nigella sativa or black cumin can be grown in the garden, and both may be used as a culinary herb. Some people have even said they're two varieties of the same plant. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. But anyway, the Nigella sativa or Damascena has a somewhat nutmeg-like flavor, which is super unique. I mean, how great would that be to have if you couldn't go to the stores? And it's a very good expectorant. Plants for a Future tells us that the sativa has more documented medicinal use. Says, like many aromatic culinary herbs, the seeds of black cumin are beneficial for the digestive system, soothing the stomach pains and spasms and easing wind, bloating, and colic. The ripe seed is anthelmintic, means it gets rid of parasites, worms, such that carminative, it settles the stomach. Diaphoretic helps with fever. Digestive, settles the stomach. Diuretic gets rid of excess fluids. Emmenagogue brings on menses. Galactagogue, it can actually increase women's breast milk. Very important to have on hand. Remember, 2 years ago, I was freaking out because there was no formula in the stores? And I would put notices out there. I'd say, I'm an herbalist. I know like 50 herbs that will increase mother's milk. Not one single woman took me up on the offer. I was going to give all the information for free. No. They'd rather buy formula. Well, I guess better your baby starve than, get a little knowledge and take care of your child as God intended. Who knows? Anyway, that's a rant for another day. Laxative and stimulant. And I know a lot of women are going to say, well, not all women can breastfeed. That's true. But also, most of the women who can't breastfeed can't because they got breast implants. And there are other reasons. They're very legitimate reasons. But maybe our priorities are a little out of whack when we have to rely on industrial food supplies rather than doing just what comes natural. But anyway, and even then, most babies can digest goat's milk very easily. Not cow's milk so much, but goat's milk. But let me just get back to the matter at hand. Laxative and stimulant. An infusion is used in the treatment of digestive and menstrual disorders, insufficient lactation, and bronchial complaints. The seeds are much used in India to increase the flow of milk in nursing mothers. Is this starting to sound a little familiar? Yeah. And they can also be used to treat intestinal worms, especially in children. Externally, the seed is ground into a powder mixed with sesame oil and used to treat abscesses, hemorrhoids, and orchitis. I'm not sure what orchitis is. Before I move on, another reason a lot of women can't breastfeed is because they get prescription medication from the doctor that essentially turns the milk off so they can go back to work sooner, make life a little more convenient. Again, in the words of the great comedian James Gregory, where are our priorities? That's what he always said. He said, where are our priorities? Anyway, externally, the seed is ground into a powder mixed with sesame seed oil and used to treat abscesses, hemorrhoids, and whatever that is, orchitis. The powdered seed has been used to remove lice from hair. Both of these herbs, both the Nigella, which is just beautiful, and the black seed cumin, are annuals that can be grown from seed in the garden after the last frost. They like full sun and have no real soil or water requirements. They can grow in poor soil and withstand dry weather. They grow a bit more than a foot tall and can be spaced 9 to 12 inches apart. Once established, the herbs will self-seed and take care of themselves. You will likely get a few crosses between them, and if you do, you're going to get a lot of variety in the flower colors, from blue to pink, lavender, and white. And frankly, I think the seeds are essentially interchangeable medicinally. But like I said, some people say the black seed cumin is more powerful, but that's really more like a trendy thing. That was a marketing thing. And it's gotten more research. And by the way, if you are a mother of children, you have a natural reason why you couldn't breastfeed them. I in no way meant to insult you. That's been hanging out in the back of my mind while I was talking. I did not mean to offend. I was just pointing out that many, many, many women can breastfeed and choose not to for matters of convenience or appearance or whatever. And that, let's just say the human race wouldn't have lasted very long had our ancestors had the same priorities. So anyway, y'all, that is going to wrap it up for this week. I did 3 herbs, and they're great herbs. These are some of my favorites in terms of flavor and taste. And I'm looking for a larger property right now. I want to get settled and, put down roots, have the permanent place. And I'm absolutely going to set up an old, ancient kitchen, outdoor kitchen. And honestly, I'd probably rather cook outdoors than indoors any day. I mean, I love cooking barbecue. I love grilling. When the weather's bad, of course, I'm probably going to come inside. But whether for a matter of emergencies and survival or just for making freaking good food, I'm really looking forward to setting up an Apicius style kitchen. And if you go online, like YouTube, you can see some videos of people that actually specialize in ancient Roman cooking. You'll see how easy this stuff actually is. And again, the vessels that they were using, clay pots, simple stuff you could actually make yourself. So metal grates, of course, you could learn a little blacksmithing. You could make a pan. If you didn't, I'm sure you could substitute. You could use some modern cast iron and substitute, or you could make a friend in a situation who was a fabricator or a blacksmith. You just never know. You just never know. Solar flare could just knock everything out in the blink of an eye. And it's better to be prepared than not. That's what we're all about here. But for me, I don't want to live on rice and beans and rice, as Jack Spirko used to say. I really do not like MREs. I know it's going to upset some folks, but most stored food does not appeal to me. I would much rather have some for emergencies, but be able to use what is either fresh from the garden or coming in from the woods and the rivers and the ocean and the lakes, or